And hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another edition of a Druids Dozen. It's episode, I have to look up the episode number a minute. I forget where we were. Episode 47. And basically my name's John. Certain people call me the Rock Druid, and basically I'm a radio DJ. I got a couple of radio shows. There's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM radio, 93.2 FM in Bristol in the UK, which is syndicated on the worldwide on the Rock Radio Network. And then there's the Rock Druid Show on ashtrayradio.earth, which is a astronomy and music based station, which is very interesting and fun to work for. Yeah, basically I've been DJing for years, I've been record collecting for years, and this is just me raiding my record collection, sort of grabbing about a dozen albums at random, waving in front of the camera and having a quick chat about them. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's selection. Kicking off with a bit of a classic. There we go. There is the front. This is, of course, Breakfast in America by Supertramp from 1979. There's the front. There is the back. And I'll whip this out. Credits and lyrics. Great stuff. Okay, now Supertramp, kind of UK sort of prog rock band, on the more poppy side of prog rock, but still very progressive in their own right. And came out of Birmingham, I think it was. These guys came out of, and they chalked up a string of great albums from the late 1960s. I think it's 69 their first album was. Great albums, releases like Indelibly Stamped, Crisis What Crisis, Crime of the Century, and this one is probably their best known album. This contains a couple of their big hits. There's the logical song Goodbye Stranger, the title track, all substantial hits worldwide, and if you've heard those songs, you know what the rest of this album's going to be like. But please never dismiss this album on three hit singles. The rest of this album is just as good. My all-time favourite Supertramp albums tracks on here: Take the Long Way Home. Other kind of highlights include Casual Conversation, Another Nervous Wreck, Gone Hollywood, mini epic Childhood Vision. It's just a stunning record. Also praiseworthy, the cover artwork. I've had this album since, well, mid-80s when I first started listening to Supertramp properly. And it was a couple of years before I realised the waitress is actually the Statue of Liberty. I already got the kind of Manhattan skyline in crockery up the back, but it took me a while to realise the Statue of Liberty waitress there. But this is a great album. It's the seminal Supertramp record. There's not a weak moment on it. The performances are superb from the band. The songwriting is first rate. Can't remember who the producer is. It's self-produced, this one? Yeah, self-produced by the band, and they've done a fantastic job on the production. So you don't hear much about Supertramp these days, but I hastily recommend that if you've never come across them properly, go and give them a listen. Start with this album and then move on to maybe Crime of the Century and then see where you go from there. But yeah, our first one today, very, very highly recommended. Supertramp, Breakfast in America, 1979. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of this. This is the front. This is On With The Show by a band called The Mugs out of Michigan. And when did this one come out? He says, trying to have a look. "2008, I thought it was around then. Anyway, there's the front. There's the back. Open it up, you've got the kind of, well, there's the full fold out. That's the front inner fold out. There is the disc. And this one has got a press release with it. Here we go. Yeah, press release. Now, the Mugs, so three-piece kind of blues rock band. They're out of Detroit, over there in Michigan. Motor City, you know, the place that gave us Alice Cooper and, you know, some other, you know, and the Motown, full stop. Just a very, very good band. With a very, very good album. I've done a couple. This is the only one I possess at the moment. I keep meaning to track some more down. If you can imagine sort of like the works of, now don't be shocked if I say Nickelback, Kings of Leon, I am not doing these guys a favour. Not that I'm completely against Nickelback and Kings of Leon. They're, you know, both bands have done one or two passable songs in my opinion, although I do kind of find most of their back catalogue rather dull. But this is the kind of demographic that I think the Mugs are aiming at. It's kind of, it's fairly commercial, mainstream blues rock. However, where the Mugs score over the aforementioned commercial kind of you know, friendly face of American radio rock, these guys have got something that they haven't. These guys have got, maybe they're slightly better players than the aforementioned band. These have got, the three guys in here are incredibly talented musicians. Maybe they got something with a, you know, they can turn a better song. There's no, you know, cliche rock star or, you know, whatever. I can't remember a cheesy Nickelback track off the top of my head, but none of that on here. Every track on here is a strong stand up in its own right. Radio friendly but highly ear-worthy piece of blues rock. Highlights on here include Curbside Constellation Blues, The Slow Curve, Just Another Fall, yeah, Never Know Why. Every track on here is a stormer. Yeah, production by the band themselves, or members of the band, with a guy called Jim Kisling helping out. Yeah, brings out their sound in fine style. And yeah, I hadn't played this album for a couple of years until I was preparing to do this week's dozen. Gave it a listen, and it's now back on my sorry, my light slips a bit. It's now back on my regular listen list. Yeah, the Mugs, On With The Show, 2008. Great band. I don't know what the rest of their materials are like, but this one is well worth checking out. Okay, next up, we have a bit of new wave of British heavy metal. Yeah, there's the front. There is the back. This is Holocaust, No Man's Land, from I think it's 1985, but I'll check on the disc in a minute. '84. Sorry, I apologise. There's the disc. Phoenix Records. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes, I don't know if people know this, but sometimes if on a vinyl record, I can't really show it on this camera, either the band themselves or the guy that's done the mastering will put a little sneaky cryptic message on the run out groove. And just seeing if this one had one, but it's not. It's just a catalogue number and saying that, you know, mastering's okay. So yeah, the most commonly called one you'll see is a Porcupine Cut, and Porky was the name of a famous mastering guy. I think it was the EMI record plant. But anyway, Holocaust, new wave of British heavy metalers. They're Scottish. I believe they were a Glasgow band. Although correct me down in the comments there if I'm wrong. And this, I believe, is their second album. I think it was The Nightcomers was the first one, and this was their second album. And it's new wave of British heavy metal. Holocaust were a kind of, you know, they're a band that are often overlooked from that period. You know, outshone by fellows on the Scottish scene by fellow band Heavy Petting. Never really got the kind of, did a couple of, this one, Nightcomers, I think there's one other fairly good album they did. Smoking Valves EP is another thing that I've got which is really impressive. But they, for some reason, they never really managed to hang it together to become the legends they could have been. Instead, they remain sort of like cult underground sensations. Shame, because this is a cracking record. Yeah, We Will Rock and We Will Roll, Satellite City, Power Play, Missing Presumed Dead, No Man's Land, On the Ropes, Here Come the Good Times. All fine songs. Star-wise, they're kind of, you know, got that kind of, you know, sort of like High and Dry era, Def Leppard, maybe a bit of the Heavy Pettings going on. Hints of maybe Saxon and Maiden thrown into the mix as well. Not long after this, they underwent a bit of a lineup change and a name change. They became Hologram and did a, can't name the album, but they did a kind of sort of more commercial, sort of AOR type rock album. And then various members of the band also turned up in a thrash metal band called Holostade later in the 1980s. But anyway, yeah, not much else to say really. Bit of a collector's item, this one. Not hideously valuable, but quite sought after. And I can understand why, because it's a pretty good album. I've got to admit, I do prefer the Nightcomers record to this one. But on the other hand, this is better than a kick in the head. So yeah, Holocaust, No Man's Land, 84, sorry. Good record. And next up, we'll have a bit of this. This is the eponymous. This is The Meeting by a band called Hudson Fall, band out of Liverpool on Merseyside. There, or was it the Wirral? Recorded in Hoylake, which is on the Wirrals, and sure I read these guys, or maybe they're from Liverpool and the Wirral, Merseyside. Anyway, they're from Merseyside, that'll do. And yeah, this one came out, oh, the address is West Kirby on the Wirral anyway, so 2007. Anyway, there's the front cover. There is the back cover. If I pop this open, there's behind the disc, it just says Hudson Fall. There is the disc. and I'll pop this out, and here's the booklet. Well, it's a fold out kind of thing, just that on the inside, which is members of Hudson Fall, looking very arty behind a curtain, and that's it really. Now Hudson Fall, like I said, from the Wirral, Merseyside, up there in the northwest of England. Well, according to this, they're a 4-piece, but there's only 3 of them on the. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, 6. There's 6 of them according to the personnel listing on the back. Only 3 on the sleeve. Ooh, where'd the other 3 go then, lads? What you done with them? Bodies under the patio. I've seen Brookside. No, seriously, Hudson Fall. There was a while back, around about the time this album came out, that these were looking like they could be serious contenders. These could have been in Arctic Monkeys territory of popularity. They were getting a lot of radio airplay. BBC Radio 6 were loving them to death. They were getting great reviews all across the music press. But like so many promising young bands, you know, they didn't live up to their potential, and now very much in the Where Are They Now file. Crying shame, because this album does show a lot of potential. It's heavy indie alt rock. It's got that kind of, it's got a bit of the Arctic Monkeys, but about it, it's got a little bit the kind of bit maybe Britpop hangover. Yeah, hints of bands like the Kaiser Chiefs, etc. Maybe, all coming together to make it very, very entertaining and listenable CD here. There's 12 tracks on here. Highlights include Lorenzo's Dream, Another Year, I Can't Dream for You, which was a track that a lot of the radio listeners on BCFM picked up on when this was out, and I got played a fair bit. Robson and Thurlow. All those tracks and the others as well are very, very listenable, very, very worthy. And that's about it, really. They, I don't know if they did anything else. There's very little, you know, kind of net presence left about this lot. You know, there's kind of a few people like me reminiscing and going, whatever happened to Hudson Fall? Hudson Fall, they were a good band. And, you know, they've still got a BBC introducing page and a few other kind of scraps of internet presence, but nothing seems to be inactive for ages. Love to know what happened to the band or the guys that played in it. Anyway, so it may take a bit of tracking down, this one. But, you know, if you like your kind of serious, decent indie and alt rock, this will be a good. It's a good one to go listen to. Yeah, The Meeting by Hudson Fall, 2007. Okay, next up. The other week we talked about. I've done a couple of Grand Funk Railroad albums on this, but here we go. No Frills, Mark Farner. Here's Solo, one of his solo albums. This one dates from 1978, during Grand Funk's time out in the late 70s. Anyway, there's the front. There's the back. An original Atlantic Group sleeve on Atlantic Records. And yeah. Now, Mark Farner, of course, guitarist with the legendary Grand Funk Railroad, you know, wrote most of their great songs from the early 70s, and yeah, and in my favourite Mark Farner moment is on the Good Singing, Good Playing album, where he's doing an amazing headbutt kind of guitar duel with Frank Zappa. Absolutely corking stuff. But anyway, did a couple of solo albums during Grand Funk Railroad's late 70s hiatus. And I'll be honest with you, I don't find them that inspiring. This is the only one I got on vinyl. I do possess his earlier one, which is just called Mark Farner. Sorry, I got that digitally, and actually looked up my mate's CD, but it's okay. Put it that way. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with this record. It's just that it's so damn forgettable. I spammed this yesterday, you know, getting prepared for the show, giving it a listen. I've forgotten about most of it already. It just doesn't sink in, and I find this, you know, and it's not just me now being a bit senile and forgetful. I've had this record for a good few years. Got to be going back to the late 80s at least. And, you know, I play it, I go, that's not bad. But then I forget about it immediately, and it suffers for it. The only thing that I can still kind of tweak about this, there's a cover version of the old Motown classic When a Man Loves a Woman, which isn't a bad version, nothing spectacular, but even that's nothing spectacular. Yeah, bit of a shame really, but that's it. Mark Farner band, no frills. When a Man Loves a Woman, no frills, and nothing to really kind of make it lodge in your mind either. Grand Funk Railroad collectors only, in my opinion. Okay, next up, going a bit more prog psychedelic. Here's the front. This is the Corinthian Squid by a band called Aftercare. There's the front. 2007 again, this one. There's the back. Pop this open. There is a disc. Slide this out. There's just the album credits there. Now, trying to think. This lot was from the northeast, Newcastle area kind of thing, northeast of England, and they're kind of psychedelic prog rock. Fronted by a guy called Duncan Barrett, great guitarist, bass player, main songwriter, etc. Dabbles in keyboards a bit on here, and it's a kind of spacey, psychedelic, progressive, but with hints of kind of the heavier, bit heavy in places as well. It's a very nice trippy album. There's the two highlights on here for me. There's the track Chromium Camels, a lovely psychedelic workout about Winston Churchill committing real life, happened in real life. Winston Churchill committing war crimes by dropping chemical weapons on Kurdish tribesmen in Iraq in about 1921. Not personally, but he gave the order for the aircraft to do it. And then there's the closer, a bit of an epic cut called Echo of the Great Song, a fantastic, trippy little kind of number that just kind of wafts your brain until the middle of next week. Really well played. Like I said, have a look at some of the, give a bit of praise out to some of the, oh, there's also a track called Play Something Nice for a Change, which, you know, yeah, Andy Charlton, main keyboards, there's a guy called Mr. Six on guitars, special guest of a guy called Neville Clay, also playing guitar. Yeah, I don't think this lot are still together. I know Duncan Barrett's got another band, more metal-y type outfit, the name of which escapes me. But, you know, they did leave behind this, and it's very good. Yeah, 2007, Corinthian Squid by Aftercare. One for the spacey people. And in a kind of, well, not similar vein, but something equally as mellow and trippy, we have this one. Asylum Seeker by a band called Roland from Poland. The second album by this project. Their debut one came out a while back called Baltic Beats, and this one's from 2000. And this one, Asylum Seekers, from 2003. So there's the front. There's the disc. There's the booklet in toto. There's the inner sleeve kind of thing. Very minimalist sort of like credits on there. And there's a little card. All the best, Tim, Jonathan, Tim. And there's contact details on the back. Now, this is a local band to me from Bristol. In fact, actually, these guys are very, very local, as in they're from Barton Hill, which is the area of Bristol I live in. Well, so guys, it's a project based by a guy called Tim Taylor. And I met him during a kind of putting together of a compilation album that various musicians from Barton Hill were getting together, did an album called Music from the Heart of a Community. There's a fair chance it's going to come up on a future special in a couple of weeks' time, so look out for that one. But anyway, Tim was he's a local record producer, does a lot of work at local Factory Studios, which is owned by Ronnie Size, I think it is. Ronnie Size? It's one of the trip hop blokes anyway. He decided to put together this compilation album. Not this one, but this compilation album, and I've got to know him. He ended up producing the very early Alien Stashed In EP, and yeah, and he chucked me a copy of this. Now, it's hard to kind of wrap it up because it kind of transcends genres. It is definitely electronica. There's lots of synths on here. It's mainly synths and sequencers and loops and that. It's quite dancey, but you know, we're not talking drum and bass or jungle or, you know, acid house. We're talking something quite trippy and ambient. It's got elements of trip hop without being trip hop. It's kind of, it's rocky enough. It manages to be rocky enough at the same time to keep me interested. And you know, very much kind of you know, an interesting blend of ideas. And as a concept work, it's deals about asylum seekers and opening up communities, and you know how, you know, all those kind of issues are addressed. Highlights on here include Just the Thing, Skint Eastwood, Brighton Early, the number 12, Dodd. But overall, it's a quite nice album. This is a good one to put on late at night when you're just chilling out and let it flow over you. I know that Tim, aka Roland from Poland's done another couple of albums since this. I have heard a few bits and pieces, and he's still keeping up the fairly high standard. This is still available. I checked it online before I started recording, and if you give it a Google, you should be able to find it. So yeah, if you like a bit of something a bit different, yeah. Roland from Poland, the Asylum Seeker. Good album. Not the sort of stuff I normally listen to, but I do like that one. As you can probably say the same about this next one. Hang on, let's get a bit of liquid on board. Yeah, again, not the stuff I normally listen to, but one I find interesting. This is Flock and Inside Out from 1975, I think. I'll check on the inside in a minute. There's the front. There is the back. Yeah, 1975. Mercury Records there. Now, Flock, I think they're a Chicago band. I may be wrong. Again, if you know, correct me in the comments down below if I am wrong. But yeah, it says form playing around the bars of Chicago. Originally, they were called Le Flock, and they were kind of, when I say a big heart of Chris from the Vinyl Orchard, because I know it's two words that kind of make him tingle. Jazz fusion. Yeah, jazz fusion kind of stuff. You know, we're talking about, you know, Weather Report and that kind of vibes. And I did a couple of albums, 69, 70 or thereabouts, broke up, and then reformed in 1975, did one more album, which is this one. The only one I possess. And although I have heard some of the couple of tracks, or some, not the albums, but I've heard tracks off the earlier albums. And this one's a bit of a kind of, I don't know, the jazz has been toned down and the prog rock's been toned up, but only subtly. You know, there's still like slightly more proggy than some of the other earlier stuff. This is very much got the jazz ghost is still haunting the grooves. Pretty snappy. Only 6 tracks on here. Everyone's a bit of a mini epic. Highlights for me, Metamorphosis, the closing track on side 1. Got a superb guitar solo on it. And apparently inspired by a tour of Europe they undertook. I've got indigestion here. And then there's a track called My OK Today on the second side, which is another, you know, if I'm only going to listen to one or two tracks off this album, they're the two I go to. Although the album itself is pretty sweet, it's pretty good. They, you know, band had kind of connections with the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and you know, trying to think, yeah, Felix Pappalardi, name rings a bell, but you know, jazz fusion and that kind of stuff isn't really my area of expertise, so I don't know that much about it, but I do know I find this album quite enjoyable. Yeah, nothing much more to say about this. Inside Out by Flock, 1975. Good chilled out stuff. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of this for all you pirates out there. Arr. Yeah, this is Circle J, Fat Man's Chest. There's the front. There is the back. Can I get that old sticker off? Yes, I can. Yeah, there's the back without the my cataloguing sticker. The idea I had a few years ago in the band. Open it up. There is the disc. there's the album credits. You want to pause and read that? That's quite humorous. Oh, actually, if you look at it that way, it folds across there with pirate shipy stuff. And if I pop this out, there's a little flyer for the CD. There's all these, there's all the lyrics. Is there a photo of the guys? I don't know. I'll try to have a look. No, no photographs or anything of the band. Bit of kind of cartoony, piratey artwork. Lyrics, etc. Yeah, they're kind of folk punk band. Bit of a pirate type theme to them, although they're not quite as folk and not quite as piratey as say bands like Jolly Roger are. Hi Jolly Roger people, looking forward to seeing you guys on the road, by the way. I know gigs are coming up, so next time I'm in Bristol I'll be there. Yeah, but you know, they sort of, you can think of sort of like bands like the Pogues, good way. I'm trying to think of other bands and that kind of thing. Yeah, but Pogues will be a good enough place to start and finish. But you know, but rather than kind of going on about being Irish, they sort of go on about being pirates. The Tale of the Wailing Whale, great track. Kingdom Come. Tomorrowland, which talks about sailing around the Caribbean on the Spanish Main, etc. Jewel of Fate, See You All in Hell. It's an up-tempo, rip-roaring, raucous, shanty-fueled, pirate-punking piece of brilliance. Cracking record. Again, another one that I hadn't played, like the Mugs album, another one that I hadn't played for a while. And then until on the run-up to doing this show, gave it a spin, you know, jaw drop, mind blown, and you know, it's back on my regular pleasure playlist. So yeah, I don't, this is their debut album, so 2007. I don't know if they've done anything else. I didn't notice anything else when I was looking them up, although you know, I didn't really spend that much time doing much hunting because I'm a bit pushed for time this week. But yeah, Circle J, Fat Man's Chest, 2007. Pirate Poguesy folk punk, great stuff indeed. Very, very enjoyable, very, very highly recommended. Okay, next up we'll have a live album. Here we go, Starz live in action, and this came out in 1989. Although it was recorded between 1976 and 1978. There is the front. There is the back. Double album. Both discs are the same. Slide this out. They are Roadrunner Records. Now I have done a couple of Starz albums on this before because they are one of my favourite obscure cult bands. If you don't know, which you know, I'm not going to blame you if you don't, because I say these are quite a culty, obscure underground band. Starz came out of I think it was New York State in around about 1974, 73, around about then. Called their first album, just called Starz, 75. did 4 albums between Len and Coliseum Rock in 1978, 79, and then broke up. A kind of proto hair metal, a bit kind of Kiss without the kind of overblown cliche and makeup. Yeah, they got around a bit. They toured the States supporting Blue Oyster Cult. They did a lot of gigs with ZZ Top and a few other people. And that would have been the end of it. Just a few obscure albums by a fairly obscure band, just for the collectors. However, when the hair metal movement began to break, early 80s, bands like Motley Crue, Poison, Bon Jovi, all started to reference Starz as being big influences. Led to a bit of a kind of revival and interest in the band. And although the band didn't reform at the time, they did in the early 2000s for just a one-off tour. But it led to kind of a lot of archive raving. First came out was Brightest Stars, which was a best of compilation, and then there was a couple of live albums on Heavy Metal Records, one of which I dealt with earlier, the rather disappointingly produced Live in Canada. There was an outtakes album called Piss Party, and then this. Now this is a couple of radio sessions, live radio concerts. One was recorded for KYMZ Radio in Kentucky in Cleveland, Ohio, 1977, and the other one, the other side of this, or various parts of this, was I think it was a King Biscuit Flower Hour, which was a syndicated US kind of concert radio program that ran throughout the 70s. I think that ran into the 90s in the end. But anyway, the band got together, and various members involved with the band kind of basically assembled those two sessions into this, as a kind of seminal Starz live album. The double live album they said they would have recorded had they done a double live album when the band was still officially gigging. And it's a classic. It's a belter. The production is great. It's been slightly retweaked and remastered. It's got a lot of their classic tracks on here. She's Just a Fallen Angel, Detroit Girls, Rock 6 Times, Subway Terror, X-Ray Specs, Boys in Action, Pull the Plug. All their great tracks. It shows the band up for what they are, just a great rock and roll band. It's slightly irrelevant in places. Track Pull the Plug, quite controversial, about a guy that kind of basically his girlfriend's on a life support machine and he pulls the plug, but not before they make love one last time. Yeah, a bit twisted. Then there's Johnny All Alone, one of my all-time favourite tracks with Richie Reno's guitar work on there is fantastic. The live version on here is even better than the original studio version. Yeah, overall, just a belting album. Yes, very, very good. I don't know whether this is going to be available digitally. I've not seen this digitally because I've been looking for a decent CD copy of this to kind of save the vinyl, because Starz stuff is quite rare and collectible. But as of yet, I've yet to see it. But if you are collecting Starz, go check. This is a great album to add to your collection. And if you haven't heard of Starz before, do yourself a favour, go check them out. They're a revelation. Okay, next up, something a bit, Menace To Sobriety, OPM. There's the front. There is the back. pop that open. There's the thing. There's the back of the booklet. Someone catching some serious rad air, man. There's the disc. Slide this out. Booklet here. Some pretty good artwork. No lyrics, just photographs. A lot of technical details on here. A nice bit of artwork there. Yeah, no lyrics, funny enough, just lots of technical details about how they recorded it, where it was recorded, the gear used, etc. Now, skate punk, skate dance punk, pop punk, however you want to call it, it's just OPM. OPM stands for open people's minds, other people's money, or opium, depending on what interview you read. They told me it was open people's minds, because I had a great privilege of spending an afternoon and an evening with OPM a few years ago on BCFM. Interviewed them, reviewed the gig. Absolutely cracking evening. But anyway, OPM, I think it's their first album or their second album, I can't remember. But anyway, Californians, skateboarding, playing, sort of punk playing skateboarders, and you know, these guys have got what their biggest claim to fame is. These guys have written on this album is the skateboarders' anthem, Heaven is a Half Pipe. Just as bikers refer to Steppenwolf's Born to Be Wild as their anthem, you know, kind of, you know, no doubt the custom cars have got the seminal custom car song, you know, Tell Laura I Love Her or something. But when it comes to skateboarding, the skateboarding anthem is Heaven is a Half Pipe, and it's on here, and it's a great song. Yeah, I know it's one that gets played a lot, and you know, there are probably 1,001 sort of videos around with that played in the background with people sort of getting a rad air at the local skate park. But who cares? It's just a great song in its own right, and it's on a great album. This is very highly enjoyable. There's lots of kind of references to skateboarding culture, sort of subculture. There's things like Hash Up. El Capitan was the other single off this album. Great track. Reality Check, Fish Out of Water, Sound System, Undercover Freak. Every song on here is pretty good. And you know, and like I said, when I saw them live, going back about 7-8 years now, they played most of the tracks off this album. Most of the tracks off this album were part of the live set still, and the crowd and the place was only a small little venue in Bristol, but the place went mental. Yeah, really nice guys as well. I'd say the great privilege of spending a couple of hours with them, interviewing them. Genuine geezers, you know. They still skate when they get the chance, and you know, back at their tour bus still had a rack of skateboards in it. So yeah, good stuff indeed. Yeah, it's not brilliant, it's not clever musically, but it doesn't need to be. It's just, you know, summing up a scene, a lifestyle, a period of time, and doing it very, very well. Yeah, OPM, Menace to Sobriety. Leads us on to the final vinyl. Here we go, a bit more classic Whitesnake. Proper Whitesnake, not the David Coverdale, 1986 onwards, 87 onwards. pile of shite Whitesnake, proper Whitesnake. There's the front with the proper Whitesnake lineup. Mickey Moody, Coverdale, bass player. Good grief, I changed my Facebook the other day. Neil Murray. Not Neil Murray. What is the guy's name? Do you know, I've just forgotten the name of the Whitesnake bass player. Anyway, him. Yeah, Moody, John Lord, Ian Pace, Mickey Moody, Bernie Marsden. But anyway, overall, probably in my opinion, the strongest of the classic Whitesnake albums. Although Come and Get It and Love Hunter will give it a very strong run for its money. Overall, just a great album. It contains the proper original version of Fall for Your Loving, one that's kind of got some fantastic slick twin guitars from Moody and Marsden and some beautiful Hammond organ. Not one that's masturbated all over by poodle-haired thrash widdly glam metalers. And the rest of the tracks on here are just as good. Everyone's a bit of a classic. Sweet Talker, Ready and Willing, Carry a Load, Blind Man. My favourite cut on the album, Ain't Gonna Cry No More Today. Love Man, Black and Blue, She's a Woman. This is just a great rock and roll album. It's bluesy, it's slick, it's kind of got that kind of Whitesnake sleaze to it. And it's a kind of, Whitesnake back then used to have a kind of fairly high class level of sleaze. They weren't kind of, I remember reading an article once that said if AC/DC are a quick knee tremble around the back of a pub, Whitesnake are a champagne seduction in a hotel room. Yeah, that's roughly where it's coming from. Who's the producer on this? Because it's Martin Birch, of course, which would explain why it sounds so fucking great. Moody and Marsden, always been one of my favourite guitar pairings. Slick as a well-soaked badger, and just makes for a great record. Yeah, I would like to say I dragged this one out and I've been listening to it again for the first time in many years, but no, this one has been on my regular listen playlist and gets played about once every couple of weeks ever since it came out in 1980. So yeah, believe me, if you haven't experienced proper Whitesnake, early Whitesnake, anything from when they formed in first album 78 through to 84, I think it was, the last one. Slide It In came out. Anything after that's not Whitesnake in my opinion. But anything that's any of the albums from that period are brilliant, and this is probably the cream of the crop. Signed by Mickey Moody and Bernie Marsden there, which is makes this particular copy doubly extra special for me, and one that I treasure and will treasure forever. Yeah, Whitesnake, Ready and Willing, 1980. Absolutely storming record. Well, that's about it for this week. Hope you enjoyed, and remember, if you like what you've seen or heard, there's the like button down there on Facebook, on YouTube. It's over there on Facebook. Comments in the same locations. My missus likes me doing this for some reason when she watches these back. And if I don't do the finger dance, she doesn't like it. So let's do the finger jive. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So please do send a like. You can subscribe for. I'll do these every week. You can subscribe so you know when the next one's up. And comments as well. It does help kind of spread the word. I'm not after making money out of these. This channel is not monetized. It never will be. I just want to share my love of music and debate music with fellow-minded music fans. So, until next week, links to the radio shows are down there and over there. Quick extra finger dance, yay! Yeah, links to the radio shows are are going to be there as well. So until next week, peeps. I love you all, and I'm out of here. Bye.